Can my 80s turbo police car produce over 550 horsepower? Oh no! What have I done? Hey, that's not good. I don't know if you knew that or not.
No, it's definitely not good. Too much boost.
Someone's cooked and not in a good way. This thing's gonna be radical. I can't wait. Right here, the resistance. Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
I've only dropped 2 engines. It's not bad, is it? We're gonna get in trouble with this car. A few years ago, I purchased this 1986 Dodge Diplomat police car. It'd been sitting for 25 years, and the first thing we did was get it to run. I did the brakes, I drove it around, but I was not impressed with the anemic stock 318. So naturally, we threw together a low buck Magnum small block, complete with an aftermarket cam and intake, with the intentions of putting a turbo in it. After installing the engine, the paint had to be refreshed with a budget $115 paint job. So to make the turbo work without a problem, we sourced fuel and timing control through Holley Sniper Stealth and Hyperspark distributor. With the car slapped together enough to drive, we headed to Holley Mopar. We competed in the autocross and burnout contest, but it tried to explode. Woo! In the search for more power, we added in an exhaust cutout under the car to increase our boost levels. The car ran a best of 8.9 seconds in the 8th mile, but I wasn't happy with it. This go around, we moved the exhaust cutout directly behind the turbo, complete with a hood stack. And to commemorate the triumphant return of the turbo police car, we will be re-releasing for a limited time the McCool Auto to Protect and Swerve t-shirt. And if you use the code TURBO at checkout, you'll get 10% off your entire order. That means shirts, stickers, anything you want, 10% off. Get it while supplies last. This will run to the end of the month. In the name of better exhaust flow, we have added on this electric cutout here. I went to Sammy's and he added this for me. We had it below the car and we added it up here, so there is zero restriction between here and there. And once we get this figured out where we want it, we're gonna have to drill a hole, which we've already marked that, where we think we're gonna have it. I'll lay this back down. That's what I used to paint with. That's the black paint from when this car was painted. There it is. I don't care who you are. Oh, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. A freaking police car shooting flames. We're doing that because we're thinking that the piping right behind the turbo has a lot of tight bends and it might be too restrictive. So hopefully that will open up our RPM, maybe get a little more boost out of it, because before I know I got 10 pounds on a perfect situation. I don't know how or why I did it, but I got 10 pounds somehow. But this thing won't pull past like 4,800 RPM. I'm just wondering, is it too restrictive? That seemed a little better. Is that blue? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I hope that's not blue. Brian, I hope that's not blue. I think it's blue. It's blue. It's blue. I blew it up. Oh no. Uh-oh. Yeah, we got a lot of blue smoke. I actually saw 5,500 RPM that time. I didn't see what boost was, but we're burning oil now. Is it knocking?
Surely not already.
Yeah, there's
blue smoke everywhere.
Blue smoke, right? us. Look behind us. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! What have I done?
Too hard.
That was one pull. I just was watching the RP. God dang it, I should have watched the boost. I wasn't paying attention.
I don't know where it was shooting through in here.
I don't either. It was a lot of smoke. There was smoke coming through the floor, the hood. Oh yeah, it's blowing out smoke from the breather cap. I cooked it. I'm glad we have a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, I got it out.
I'm glad you did that.
That was a lot.
It was a lot. I think it was coming out the exhaust. It's still full and it's not head gaskety. Oh, but look, there's a lot of blow by coming out of the crankcase.
You got 7 more.
Dang it. Man, why didn't I look at the boost? I was watching the RPM and I wasn't paying attention to the boost. This thing was getting it though when it was.
It was going.
Here, let me borrow your hat. Straight out of the breather.
Which is not as bad now, but
Yeah.
still puffing a little bit.
Well, let's try to limp it home. That's all I know to do. It still runs, so let's just go. So that sound you heard, I think is like a heat shield under the car that was like rattling because it goes away with RPM. But now I've got a knock. You can just hear that. That's a knock. We killed either a rod or the bottom end, and there's smoke rolling out behind us. So if I just give it a little gas, it goes away with RPM. It's fine. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it's dead. We broke a ring or something. Look. Nice. Oh no. My poor police car. I've been so nice to it too, you know?
Oh my gosh.
Just look behind. Oh my lord, that's so much smoke. No mosquitoes around here, I'll tell you that much. I think we just made a lot of boost, is what just happened.
Too much.
It's got a very tight spring on the wastegate, and it was good when there was restrictive exhaust, but we probably cranked it to 11 or
More than that.
boost wise, probably 20 just then, which this is a stock bottom end 318. So, you know, I did plan to do this so that way if I blew it up, I could put another engine in it. I don't think I've ever like spun a rod or broke a ring like this before in a motor. As hard as I am on stuff, I've never done that. So does that mean I have to build a hot dog engine in it?
Yes.
Dang it.
Oh my gosh.
Good gracious. Wow. I'm sorry, police car. I really didn't mean this.
I think it's getting progressively worse.
Yeah, it's definitely getting worse. Well, grab the shovels, Briar. We got a barrier. Well, it's been quite some time since we have messed with the police car turbo build. Now, that last clip, you did see this thing start smoking pretty badly. It was making some pretty nasty noises. Now, ever since then, we were able to crank it, move it in and out of the shop, but then it got harder and harder to crank until now it doesn't crank at all. It actually sounds so bad. Something is obviously internally wrong. We were just doing it so we could move it out of the way, but now you can't even do that. So we had to drag it in here, and we're getting ready to actually do some work to this thing. I'm ready to get this thing back going. We have a donor engine, but in order to get that in the car, we've got to get this junk one out of the way. Well, I'm under here pulling torque converter bolts, and I remember whenever I would put the car in park, it would rattle really bad. And I thought that was related to our noise that we were having, or at least the bad issue with the knock and as far as it smoking, but it's not. Because, look at this. These have backed out. I've warned against this before. Use Loctite on your torque converter bolts. I put this transmission in like a couple days before we left for Holly Mo Party in 2023, and I obviously forgot to Loctite them because there's none on it. And when I torqued it down, they started backing out. So you got to use some kind of thread locker on these things. They will back out immediately. The other two that I've taken out were looser than this one. There's still one in here. Look. That's not good, guys. Oh my gosh, look. That's finger tight. That's how the other two were before that one I filmed. As you can see, we've got dirty oil, but it's not bad. At least there's no metal in it. We're gonna try and just disassemble this thing and see what we can find out. I don't know. It might not be good, it might be all right. But the engine itself is hurt. Yep, driver's side spark plugs looked all right. They're a little rich, but not bad. Over here's where the weird spark plugs are. This is on the passenger, number 2 and 4. They're wet for some reason. Doesn't really answer our question just yet. It might not have run enough to really burn a lot of oil, but still, something's going on with this side. We'll keep an eye on it. You thought you could hide, but you can't.
There you go.
I was pretty proud of this engine. You know, for spending next to nothing on the engine itself, it sure did last a long time, you know it. We were mean to it. Yeah. And honestly, if I had just limited the boost like I should have done, it wouldn't be a problem.
Well, the hood stack made us excited.
Yeah, the hood stack was like a game changer.
They wouldn't even get to race it.
Usually this bolt's easy to get to when there's a manifold facing the right direction.
I wonder why it's backwards. Whoever put it on was a dummy.
This is the beauty of turbo manifold. Look at how this had to be ran. So the turbo was here. This is where our wastegate was. We had a crossover pipe that went up under the oil pan that came up right here, fed up into the turbo. And there's a lot of pieces and parts to make that work and still not drag the ground.
Anything crazy? That's a little wet.
Yeah, which this is, that's what the one I was saying was the problem, was 2 and 4. Look at the oil. Yeah, it's got to be this side. So it was probably number 4 is the problem one. Nothing really bad on this side.
No.
Just a little chewage, but not as wet as the other side was, that's for sure. So we had to pull this valve cover off to get clearance as far as the turbo manifold went. Nothing like out of the ordinary. I mean, it's hydraulic, so there's no pressure built up. It didn't have like a knock or anything, like as far as valve train when we first pulled it out, but this thing hasn't ran in, gosh, I don't know. It's been
a few months.
It's been a few months, so there's no telling what happened, but we wanted to pull the heads off and just see where our weak link was. I mean, was it a head gasket? Was it something else? Nothing over there that looks bad.
Yeah, everything looks normal.
Good gracious. I glued it on there, didn't I?
Yeah, you can see all the RTV coming out the back. There it goes. This guy's gonna go flying.
I know. Nothing but quality. That one.
That's so scary. What did?
God.
Gracious. It was on there.
Whew, imagine doing that in the car. We'd never get it off. Oh, golly.
Still hung right here. There you go. Oh, nothing major.
I mean, some of the lifters, like I said, aren't pumped up because it hasn't ran in a while, so there's been no oil pressure on it. Let's pull the heads off. That'll tell us a lot.
Yeah. I'm not a Mopar man.
You need
First Magnum I've actually ever worked with.
That ain't much different. It's really just a timing cover of the heads, roller cam. I mean, the block is pretty much identical. You're not missing much.
Put it in Chevy terms. Then I might understand.
TBI. I forgot about pulling the rocker arms. I just went to town on it, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
It's fine.
No.
Oh, come on now. That's one way to do it. I don't see anything bad on this one, do you?
Nothing catastrophic. I'm waiting for the hole in the piston.
That would make me feel better.
Gasket looks fine. So do the valves. Nothing crazy.
Nothing crazy yet.
This side right here will tell.
Blown head gasket. A lot of oil.
Right there.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, that'll do it.
That will do it.
Very oily right there.
It is very oily, but they look fine.
That's the one that I was saying, number 4, wasn't it?
It was wet.
We got the head gasket. Wow, that's a lot of oil, Briar. Look at that.
Oh my gosh, it's standing in there.
It's literally standing oil.
Yeah, it's standing in oil.
Wow. Hey, that's not good. I don't know if you knew that or not.
No, that's definitely not good. Too much boost.
Yeah, that'll do it, you know? When the head gasket blew, oil was running in from
The lifters.
the lifter galley. That's what caused it to burn oil. So probably the engine was fine. If we put a set of head gaskets on it, it would still keep going. But I bet if we pulled the oil pan, we might find pieces of head gasket. Well, that one little send, it really did it, didn't it?
Like, hey man, let's go try this out.
I had originally intended for this thing to be a test motor until I could learn how to work this system out, and then we would put a hot dog motor in it. It was the perfect time to do it. However much boost we threw at it, a lot,
Yes.
8 to 10 pounds, this thing would run all day long. So we had to be pushing 15 or more for it to do that. I mean, we did multiple passes of 10 pounds of boost over and over and over and over, and it did not have a problem. And, you know, it very well could have been pushing that slowly out over time. I mean, that's solid. That's metal right there.
Yes.
So whatever we were doing to it, we cooked it pretty good.
Yeah, that last run.
Yeah, I feel better about that.
Yes.
You know,
Because at least we still have a functioning engine, we know.
That, yeah, I'm going to put a set of head gaskets on it and keep running it. I mean, I don't see why not.
And throw in something else.
Put it in something else. And I'll tell you why I think it was running at a reliable 10 pounds, because look at the rest of the head gasket. Every single other cylinder was totally fine. Not a bit of wear. This one was just the weak link for some reason. Whenever it hit that max peak boost, whatever it was, it pushed that out. I'm going to pull the oil pan off of it now because we're going to take all this off, because I had welded this bung on here for the oil drain, and I want to reuse all this, and I know all this will clear. Maybe all the knocking sound we heard, obviously it was the torque converter. Then the smoking was obviously the head gasket.
But them added together made us wonder.
You're like, oh gosh, the engine's about to explode. But it was just two things battling each other to the point of where you're like, yeah, I really heard it. But
Yeah, it's
kind of gross,
yeah.
kind of shimmery. Uh-oh. I don't remember if I used any moly paste on it or not. Guess we need to investigate a little further, because there's like little tiny bits of stuff, like shavings. Like it's got grit to it. I wonder if it's like a piston skirt or something broke. Yeah.
Another chunk?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
What in the world?
That's red right there. Does that match the head gasket, you think?
It did have a touch of red on it.
We need to clean that out before we put it in the other engine. There's a little oil in that cylinder, obviously.
Nope. Hey, stop it out. Stop it out. Stop it out.
We'll stop it. Oh!
Everything looks burnt.
It does look burnt. Why is that? I don't remember what it looked like when I pulled it out the first time. Looks like mileage is what it looks like.
I didn't think you put that many miles on it.
I didn't. I just don't know if this is what it looked like when I pulled it out or not. I can't remember, to be honest with you. I mean, you still see cross-hatching in the cylinders and stuff, so that's good. Which one is number 4, wasn't it?
Yes. So.
You want to pull it out and see what it looks like?
Sure.
Had to impact my impact. That was almost dangerous. If everything else looks good and when we turn it over, it all looks fine, we're just going to put it back together and say, yep, good enough.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a little hurt.
A little bit.
You want to take it out?
Yeah, they'll just slide it all the way out. See if it broke a ring or anything. I don't know if that was supposed to be that easy.
Did you gap them?
No.
Yeah.
Stuck it in there. I think we're all right. That bearing looks a little...
What about that side?
I mean, it's not much better. I mean, I don't see any, like, copper in there, but it's pretty worn. As you can see, we put the engine back together. We got all of our stuff that we need to put our new engine back together. I think it's all right, Brian. What do you think?
It's better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, we were expecting carnage, but thankfully that was not the case. So we've got to get this thing out of our way because we've got a new engine to go get, don't we?
New and improved.
New and heckin' improved. Well, we've got the 318 set aside, put back together, and you're probably wondering what's going back in. Let me show you. This is a Mopar Performance, genuine factory stroker 402 cubic inch based small block Magnum. Now, what this is basically a 360 that was brand new from Mopar, and they built a stroker out of it. So they put a stroker crank and I believe stroker rods, I'm not sure, and then an aftermarket cam. And these came with a single plane intake. It's got a hot roller hydraulic cam, and it's basically rated at like 430 horsepower. From this, just like it sits, it should be 430 horsepower and close to 470 foot-pounds of torque. That's a lot, and we're gonna throw some turbo boost at it, and it's gonna be insane. But as you can see here, if you take a look, it's got the LA timing cover. We'll have to change that because they have provisions for a mechanical fuel pump over here, but we'll save all that. 8-quart Maldon pan. I'm afraid it won't fit, so we may have to swap that. But what the good part about it is not only is it a stroker bottom end, we've got Mopar Performance RT heads. What that gets you is a 202 intake valve and a 1.65 exhaust valve. Not sure if they did any porting to it. I really don't know. It has better valves. It's basically a stock head with just better valves and maybe a different size combustion chamber. It's a full hydraulic roller cam, and I have the specs written down here. It's pretty basic. It's advertised at 288 and 292 duration. At 50, it's 230 on the intake, 234 on the exhaust. 501 lift on the intake, 513 at the valve, 108 center line. Makes great power. I mean, it's already painted orange. It's got these trick valve covers, so I guess we got to keep it right. So I figured what we can do, tear it apart, inspect it. We're not going to pull the bottom end. We're just going to pull the heads and put new head gaskets on it to be sure we have what we need to make some pretty good power. So without further ado, let's see what we have inside. Let's get these valve covers off here. Yeah, stock rockers, all looks good. I like what I see. And it's supposed to have upgraded valve springs to compensate for the new cam. We do have a different cam that we're gonna run, but these valve springs should do the job and be all right for what we're doing with it. And it looks good. I mean, the guy that I bought it from, he pulled it out of the car in December, and right now it's what, into February?
Yeah.
Hasn't been out of a car for very long, and he seemed like a trustworthy dude. All looks good. No excess wear on our rockers that I can see. That's a good sign. And they should be 1.6 ratio. I wish it was stamped somewhere, but from the factory, that's what they got. Just take them all out, like so. Take them with you, stick them in your pocket. Here, you want one? Thank you, you can eat it.
Perfect. Looks fine, a little burnt, but
Yeah.
no holes in the cylinders. 20 over.
Yeah, I forgot they did that. I did read somewhere where somebody said that I think it was Hot Rod Magazine, they bored them 20 over hyper-eutectic pistons, the dish and the valve relief and such. That gets it around 9-to-1 compression. They're not domed or anything. Yeah, I think it's just a stock size head gasket. Yep, looks good. Anything crazy under here?
Nothing crazy.
Yes, love to see it.
Oh, this is a different gasket. Interesting.
What?
This has got blue all over it.
Why is that, you think?
Someone's been here.
Someone's cooked and not in a good way. Why has it had a head gasket put on it? Seems that it has blown a head gasket at some point. See the differences?
Two different
head gaskets. Whose idea was that? Not mine. Oh, it's still, yeah, it's got super low miles on it though.
Really?
Yeah. Cross hatching all throughout. Might clean off the top of the pistons in the combustion chamber. Looks like somebody's put a water pump on it at one point because the shade of orange is different. And all this stuff is going to be reused. This isn't like stuff you throw away. This all looks good still. Oh yeah, it looks brand new on the inside.
Yes, it does.
No like nasty buildup. Yeah, she's a little down in the hole. Plus that dish, I mean honestly, puts us in a perfect spot for turbo. You know, they like a little less compression. That dish and then the valve relief being a little bit down in the hole. Like I said, it was calculated at 9-to-1 compression with that head gasket that it came with from the factory, which is pretty much what we're putting back on it. So it should be pretty much in that realm. Right there, according to the balancer.
Whoa. Easy.
Woo!
Yeah, it's a little loose.
No tensioner on her. This is just like a stock, earlier LA style double roller timing chain. That's what they came with when they built it, when the Mopar built these, so it could very well be the original timing chain. That's not, yes, it is a good bit of slack, but it's not so much that I'm like, oh my gosh, the engine's about to fall apart, you know what I mean? It's not like a crazy, crazy amount. I've seen way worse. This thing still doesn't have a lot of miles on it. Let's get this timing chain off of here. Here we go. Gotta take out the lifter tray here. There we go. The cam itself looks perfectly fine. So all the rollers are good as they could be. And these are hydraulic lifters. And we're going to reuse these. Hydraulic roller cam, you can get away with doing that and have no problems at all. So I'm just going to set them up. I'm going to take them out just like so. Just enough to get the old cam out of here. And I'm going to show you exactly why we're pulling this and explain to you why would we do such a crazy thing. Come on out. Don't be shy. Come meet all your new friends. And then go hide. There we are. I'm not going to throw this away, obviously, because this is a perfectly good cam. I've got another thing I want to put it in. So we don't throw stuff away here. What's our shop motto, Briar?
Never throw anything away.
Never, never. I learned that one from my dad. I reached out to Comp and got a custom ground turbo small block cam. Now, the thing is that I had them spec this for me for a 360. I was planning on doing a stock Magnum 360 because obviously a little extra cubic inches will get you a little more power. Of course, with a stroker engine, you're going to have a lot more power compared to the 318. So again, it was for a stock stroke 360, but I think it's close enough to where we'll be all right with it. They probably could have gone a little bit more radical with it, knowing that it was a stroker, but I don't think that's going to be a problem whatsoever. So I was going to read you the specs on it. So advertised duration, 269 and 273 on the intake at 50, 220 on the exhaust, it's 224, 507 lift on both sides. So we're sacrificing a little lift on the exhaust side, more on the intake side, and a little bit of duration on both sides from the old cam. This one's advertised at 114, and I think that's obviously going to make this thing a little bit more mild. So when we're looking for fuel injection turbo stuff, we want it to be a little bit easier on the fuel injection and not sitting there hunting around for an AFR at idle. And that's what I really like about that car is that it makes smooth, consistent power, and it's not like rattling you to death. The cam that was in the other engine had a little more lift but less duration, and it was at a 114 lobe separation angle as well. Didn't make nearly as much power as this one will. So that's where we're going to have the kicker here. Smooth, consistent power. We'll sacrifice maybe a little bit of top-end power for power across the board. And I'd rather have it at off idle basically than at peak power, because like Steve Dulcich says, you're not riding around at peak power all the time. It's all the RPMs in between idle and that really get you. Pretty good looking, ain't it?
That is good looking.
That looks cool. Full on, straight up custom cam. Oh, look here. It's got my name on it.
No way.
What? The number on the serial number, it's got my name on it.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I see it. Uh-huh. Wow.
I feel so cool.
You got to keep that one out when we blow this one up.
Oh, I mean, I kind of feel bad putting it in there because I can't look at that anymore. I kind of want to just hang it on the wall. Look what I got, look what I got. So on these roller cams, you don't have to do like a break-in procedure, but I don't want to put it in there dry. So I'm just going to take a little oil and pour it on there. We're going to change the oil pan anyway, but I wanted to make sure that it was good enough. And then whenever we actually get this all put together, prime it. We'll pour oil on top of the cam. I don't see any issues with doing that whatsoever. That's how I do it normally. I just hated to put it in dry, especially on those cam bearings, but now we've got at least a film of oil all around the cam and on my fingers. I need gloves, you know what?
We have some, but we
don't use them.
You just refuse to use them.
We're crazy. Very, very careful.
Don't get it nasty.
It's too late for that.
Oh, you got my hands nasty. Easy.
No! I had to work, I'm sorry.
I'm just a cameraman.
Yeah, you don't know nothing.
No, not a
Kidding,
thing.
kidding. This thing's gonna be radical. I can't wait.
I'm ready for it.
Did you about to say you were scared?
Not yet.
Because I am.
I know, because you'd be like, man, what's another pound of booze gonna do?
A lot.
And then, we're gonna blow it up.
No, well, I hope not. Subtle foreshadowing.
I mean, because we know we can add horsepower with just another pound.
It's always just another pound, man.
A stock head gasket will hold 10 pounds.
We found that out the hard way.
For a little while.
Yeah, for just a little bit. Little tech tip Dad always taught me. When you put your Woodruff key in, instead of laying it flat, try to angle it up in the back. So that way your timing gear will just slide on there. And then as it slides on, it'll actually center this on. So see how I've kind of angled it to the rear, higher up in the back. Then when it slides on, it'll lay level. Now that we have the cam in, we'll drop all these lifters back on, and they're already full of oil. They should be. But again, we'll prime everything to make sure that it's okay. If that's wrong, sue me.
Oh, I will.
I know you will.
Any chance I get.
Better not say that.
Sure. I've had a few chances.
You're building a case. You've got a good case against me.
Over a few years, yeah.
Yeah.
Waiting for the perfect time to strike,
When I least expect it. Link bars. you can go right back in your place. Don't you just love when things like work?
Don't say that yet.
Well, you're right. I shouldn't. Roller cams are just so fun. Because all you got to do is just boop, cam swap, cam put back in. I mean, it should run great because it's got my name on it, right?
Yes.
I wonder if these have a torque specification or just
2 ugga-duggas.
whatever you feel like.
Is it really torquing if you use a 3/8 impact?
In my heart, it is torqued, and that's what matters, right?
I don't think torquing counts unless it's 1/2 inch or greater.
That is true. I mean, how many ugga-duggas can you get out of a 3/8?
Probably not even 1/2 inch ugga-dugga.
Even better, why not just go up to like an inch air hammer on a 7/16 bolt or 1/2 inch, whatever this is.
Why not?
Just whap!
We'd have it tight in a second.
Crank it up to 11. Here you go.
On my home.
There we go. Oh, careful. There you go. We got a stroker crank, obviously, and I don't know if these are aftermarket rods or not. I can't really tell. But again, it all looks fine. Check a bearing or just go for it.
Dang.
I mean, it rotates fine. He said it was running fine. I mean, you met the guy. He was super nice.
He knew what he was talking about.
Yeah. Look at the clearance. So this piston's all the way at the bottom of the hole. Look at the clearance right there.
Wow.
That's close, ain't it?
Yes.
I can't stick my finger in between it. That's probably a good, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or less. Can you imagine this thing running at 6,000 RPM?
That's close.
Close. But hey, it works. I'm just going to say it's good. It all looks fine to me. I don't see anything just out of the ordinary. These might be aftermarket rods, but we know for a fact it is a stroker crank. It's a 4-inch stroke, 4.020 overbore, and so this thing should equate to about 402 cubic inches based on what the factory says. So the big question is, why change oil pans when we have a perfectly good 8-quart Mileton pan and we're going back to a 6-quart stock style pan? It's because, one, I've already welded in a bung for the return on the turbo, and 2, I'm afraid that my pan is not going to be able to clear anything because the cross member is going to be close, plus my crossover pipe goes under the oil pan, and it fits with the stock pan, and that one's deeper on both ends of the pan, so I'm like, it might be a problem. So to play it safe and not have to do everything twice, we're just going to put our other 6-quart pan back on it and call it a day. We'll put this oil pan in something else at some point eventually. There we go. Got all the gaskets off of the heads and clean up the deck on the engine itself. Briar went and cleaned all the tops of the pistons, and we've got new Felpro head gaskets. These are pretty much the exact same as what we had on the other engine. They're multi-layer steel, and they're strong as heck, apparently. From the way that we have used it, it worked pretty good. I have ARP cylinder head bolts, and I wanted to put these on here because they're good. We're going to torque it down in 3 different sequences. We're going to do 50, then 75, and then 100. So it's just a nice little way of making sure everything fits snug as a bug in a rug, you know? Like tucking a cylinder head in a blanket.
In a small block?
Yes.
I don't know.
I have to put a blanket on my engine. You don't want it to get cold, do you?
No, I would hate that.
Yeah. Here it is. Torqued down, new head gaskets, ARP head bolts.
And we cleaned it.
And I cleaned it. Yeah, actually, I'm going to leave it orange. Factory paints that look pretty good besides where the mounts were, so you guys are the only ones going to see it, so don't tell anybody. So here I bolted on a Magnum timing chain tensioner. These things are pretty slick. All right, we got the oil slinger back on. We've got the timing chain, got the cam bolt torqued down with Loctite. Tensioner is tensioning. I'm going to take some Rogo gel lube here. This is basically like a penetrating oil. It sticks on here like you wouldn't believe, and obviously it's got a timing chain and gear on it, so why wouldn't you use it? This stuff it's not necessarily sticky, but it's resilient. Because normally you can put oil on these things, but I like to put the gel lube on it because I know it ain't going to run off of it. She's good to go. Stick our push rods right back where they came from. Nice.
Quick and easy like.
Look there, just handing them out.
You get a push rod. You get a push rod.
Just that guy. I keep stacks of push rods on me. Torqued. Kidding. Oh, a little too fast. Torquing these down to 21 foot-pounds as per what everybody said on the internet. And that will complete our rocker assembly. That'll get us our top end completely finished up, and then we can put the valve covers back on, our intake, distributor,
Oh man.
timing cover, you name it.
It's almost ready.
Almost. I'm getting excited. I'm trying to slow down because I don't want to miss something, but man, I cannot wait to hear this thing fire up. And my old water pump, well, it was new at one point. Maybe I'll just touch it up with a little black. Would that make you feel better?
It might make me feel a touch better.
Yeah.
But I'm digging the orange and black combo.
I'm just digging that it bolted on. I don't care whatever it looks like as long as it bolts on. We're just gonna snug them on. And the oil pan goes on.
Oh, it's magical. Something's not right here.
Oh,
there it is.
It slid backwards. Scared me for a second, but we're all good. So I'm just gonna dump it right on the cam. That way we know for a fact it's oiled. Ooh, you can hear it going down into the pan.
I like that.
Yes, it's very nice. Well, we're gonna try and get this thing primed before we go too crazy with it. I've got my drill set up with a priming tool. I took the oil feed line from the turbo and just stuck it back in the intake. So that should get us some oil going. Oh. I hear the resistance. Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
What a air. Good gracious. That's why we prime before we run these things. Come on, get the air out, buddy. Put her back down to the intake. Yeah, direct oil the cam. Main goal is to get the rockers to oil up.
Gracious.
Oh, we got spark plugs still in it. Anything over there?
Yeah.
Well, that's why we do it, because you saw all that air in the line there.
Oh, mind your spot.
You are in my spot.
Well,
You had to remove yourself from my spot, buddy.
you better make it quick.
The last piece of the puzzle here is an Edelbrock Performer RPM air gap. The best of the best. You can't buy an intake manifold to save your life for a Magnum engine unless you go with a dual plane. So why not just go with a top-notch unit like this one? Is that all four started?
Yep.
Sweet! It worked! That's gonna make it look nice and pretty. We've got a dual plane. Again, you know, for peak horsepower, turbo applications, a lot of times a single plane is the best option, but we're going for drivability as well as availability. You can't find a single plane intake for a Magnum unless you're willing to pay $1,000 plus. And guess what? We don't want to. This engine came from the factory with a Mopar M1 single plane intake, but to find one of those in a 4-barrel pattern, no thank you. Hey, for once we're not bolting nice shiny stuff on junk.
I know.
We're bolting it to good stuff. This is rare for us. All right, we got this thing off the stand, and boy was it quite a lot of work. Now, since the last little clip, put the drain line back on, all of our front accessories, the belts, it just was easier to do it while I was out of the car. Got the turbo feed line on, so all that is ready to go. Went ahead and pulled this valve cover back off so that it was just a little bit more clearance. And the last step was to get this B&M balanced flex plate. So the 318 that we pulled out of this thing was internally balanced. So you just use a neutral balance converter, neutral balance flex plate, and you're good to go. This 360 is externally balanced. So you got to use a balanced torque converter or some type of balanced flex plate. And that's what this is, because my converter is neutral, so we have to run this balanced flex plate to make it work. Everything is torqued to spec. We can drop it down into the car now. One more thing we got to do is remove this oil filter. I feel like it would be a close fit, but I don't want to chance it. I hate to do it, but I'll just top it off when we get to that point. Golly, we put it on there good, didn't we? I don't want to hit nothing and break anything loose. I'm trying to catch all the oil that I can. Don't spill, don't spill, don't spill. Oh, perfect. Filter is completely full. You just do your thing, old filter housing. I'm going to put you somewhere safe. So I'm going to put you back in. If I don't put it over here, it's a guarantee I will kick it and knock it over. I'm so good at that. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment of truth has officially arrived. I'm gonna put this thing in our police car. Come on, car. You can roll better than that. Aha! It's almost like it was made for that. Sweet. pretty close. I think it'll work. The slow and painful process of trying to clear exhaust manifolds and turbo piping and line up engine mounts in the proper location. But we're gonna try. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Am I right, folks? Nice and gentle. Don't be trying to jump out of here. I've only dropped 2 engines. It's not bad, is it? I think it's like a rite of passage. You're gonna drop an engine at some point. Just don't make a habit out of it, you know what I mean? Come on down, buddy. Back to where you belong. I think we're clearing the turbo piping pretty good over here. The engine just slowly creeping its way down. I'm just gonna let it do it. Thank you, engine, for cooperating. It's greatly appreciated. Your hard work does not go without notice. I know we're gonna have to roll forward just a fuzz. We can wait till we get a little lower. Just a little note to everybody, if you're ever doing this by yourself, you can do it by yourself. Just don't get under it. It'll snatch you up real quick if you're not careful. Okay, we're getting cleared so far. We can almost roll her back. Yeah, it's a good thing we took off that oil filter, because I would have ripped the dipstick out in a heartbeat for the transmission. All right, come on back, everybody. After a lot of hours, a lot of time, and a lot of just patience, I think I have got everything back together. Turbo's hooked up. All of our exhaust piping is hooked up. The Holley system hooked up. Serpentine system, all the accessories, radiator full of coolant, transmission. I torqued the torque converter bolts. I made sure. And they have Loctite on both sides. I also added in an oil pressure gauge just for safety's sake, because I haven't heard this thing run, so I want to make sure that it's okay. So we are going to fire this thing up. I've charged the battery. Hopefully it's not dead. Let me check our battery back here. It is showing almost good. I'm going to put a jump box on it. I'm so scared. Like, I'm actually shaking. I have prayed about 45 times. Please, Lord, let this work. We're in park. All right, and cranking. Ooh, battery's weak. That could also be the timing. It might not be exactly where it needs to be, because I set it back in there as close as I thought it would be. This thing has timing control through the Holley Sniper. It's a totally different engine and a totally different cam, so it probably needs a totally different amount of timing. Might have been too much. Or it's 180 out, which is more likely the case. If it does it again, I know it's 180 out. Okay. Because that's a pretty nasty backfire if I've ever seen one. The distributor is now 180, opposite direction. I'm going to try it again. My battery is the weak link here, I believe. I'm going to put my diesel truck battery in here. It just got charged. Help it along. I'll put the jump box on it. A good 40 amps will do her. Oh. Getting oil pressure, 50 pounds. And my microphone died. But thankfully, the car idled very well with only one small leak from the upper radiator hose at the thermostat housing. Here you can see oil burning off of the exhaust manifold from us handling it with oil on our hands. But after letting the engine warm up, everything seemed to calm down. And it had a little bit of smoke out the exhaust, but I believe that's just a ring that might need to be reset. So I checked to make sure that the torque converter was properly installed by going into forward and reverse gear, and we have both gears. The last thing on the list was to set the Holley Sniper to a static timing of 15 degrees. Then I grabbed my timing light and verified that on the harmonic balancer. That fixed our hard start issue. Well, this is the first time that I've driven this car since I blew the head gasket in the other engine. So let's see if it'll make it. I checked the transmission fluid, it was good. Checked the oil level, it was still good. Added some power steering fluid, topped off the coolant. Seems like it's working. Brake's still good. It's funny how, like, just normally, like, you can't tell a difference in the car right now. Like, there's zero difference in the 318 versus right now because of that cam being not so crazy. But you've got what, almost 90 extra cubic inches to deal with. Better heads. I mean, everything's just there to make this thing make a ton more power. Transmission shifting fine. I just want to make sure that nothing's like going to give way while we drive it. Charge pipe is not hooked up because we're not going to be making any boost just yet. Like I said, we got to be careful with it first. I mean, it's driving well. We've got about 55, 60 pounds of oil pressure. I'll be burning some oil off somewhere. Not a big deal. I can smell just a hint of it, but it's not smoking. I don't see anything out the back. It had a little bit of oil smoke when I first fired it up, but there was also some oil down in the cylinders that I put in there, and the rings might need to, do their thing again when we go out ripping on it. But it's driving very well. It's weird when I hear this thing knocking like it was with that torque converter. I mean, the timing's kind of catching up. The Holley system has to get up above 160 before it'll go into learn. So that's what we were doing, making sure that it got up to that temperature and you drive it around, let it kind of self-regulate. Pretty awesome having this thing back. You know what? That's nothing like it. It's very tame. Like, it's almost deceiving because when I drove it with a 318, it drove just like this. So I'm sitting here thinking, is this all it is? I'm excited to kind of romp on it, but I don't want to do it before I make sure everything's okay. We'll probably take it back to the shop and just look over everything and check for leaks, and then we might have a little bit more fun. But as of right now, much better. No more smoking out the exhaust, no more blown head gasket, no more rattling from the torque converter. Everything has gone back to normal, and it's honestly a very comfortable, drivable car. Just romp on it a little bit. Oh my, holy, what the, wow. Did you hear that? I just did like that, and it immediately broke the rear end loose. We're gonna get in trouble with this car. Wow, that was instant. Which that's the Holley for you, but oh my gosh. I just a tap of the throttle and that thing immediately broke the tires loose. Alrighty then, well, there's that. Second gear. The turbo's spooling up. Dude, this thing sounds mean. Wow, it sounds mean. It's so tame. I mean, obviously we did probably kill peak horsepower we probably lost 20 or 30 horsepower. So it's a good, decent amount, but in the grand scheme of being able to be drivable, have good manners, spool real quick, and it's a custom turbo cam. It was designed for this car. I mean, I think it's the better choice overall. Okay, we'll just do a baby little romp. I'm not gonna hold her out or nothing. First gear, just off idle. Wow, this thing sounds ridiculous. Now that's a car. It didn't do it that fast in the other engine. That's a car right there. Woo, boy, I like that a lot. Are you ready for this?
I'm kind of scared, not gonna lie.
It sounds pretty normal.
It may not sound normal, but does it act normal is the question. A pretty little charge pipe.
We're feeling brave. I don't know how good of an idea it is, but we're gonna try it. So off camera, this thing had 2 wastegate springs inside the wastegate, which is right there by the turbo. So it had a heavy and a light spring. I took the heavy one out and left the light spring. So we're just gonna see what kind of boost pressure it holds. Plus, with the cutout, I broke the plug, so we can't run the full cutout, but it's probably for the better. So boost is limited, RPM's probably gonna be limited, and we're gonna make sure that we don't hurt this thing. But it might whistle. It should whistle.
I hope it whistles.
It whistled before whenever I was ripping around in it without any kind of charge pipe hooked up, so it should do something. We'll line it out a little bit, see if it'll build up any boost. It did not build any boost at all.
No, zero.
2 inches of vacuum. So I didn't even get it wide open, but it fluttered. It did the turbo noise that everybody likes to hear. Just right off the rip, idle, no building up anything.
That was instant.
You can't hook. Like, there's no chance of hooking on this car. I mean, it just, right off the rip, it just slides all up and down the road. And we didn't even make any boost. I was watching it.
No.
It was like in an inch of vacuum. Wow. That was, I saw max 3 pounds. I think that was enough.
That was pretty fast.
Wow. I don't know what RPM that was, but I saw 3 pounds.
It wasn't crazy. It wasn't a lot.
No, I think I short shifted it. This thing's capable of doing a lot more. What do you think?
That was fast.
It's a lot quicker than what it was, ain't it?
Yes.
Didn't like that. I shifted at 4,500 RPM. This thing's got so much more.
Yes.
Yeah, it just died. The AFR went super lean. And we ran out of gas.
Dang it.
Oh, power steering! Hey, how about a shady spot?
It's a Tesla.
Oh, no power brakes either. Golly. Let's just hear.
Oop. Dang.
Wow.
That was aggressive.
Got a chance it or?
You gotta go over the big hill.
Think we're all right?
Yeah.
That was weird.
That was weird.
I don't really care. Oh, do it again. And to neutral. And it's dead.
Come on. Please.
My uncle lives here and aunt, obviously, and oh no!
Uh-oh.
Oh great.
This isn't gonna be good. Oh, it's got that thing on it, don't it?
Yeah, it's got a little door.
Uh-huh.
There we go. Well, all my paint's gonna melt off, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But this is my uncle's house, and he was kind enough to loan me his truck to go get 5 gallons of 93. I think it was already chipped, but I don't want to give it a chance to be any worse. Well, it's a wonder what gas can do.
Hey.
Well, fresh 93 octane. I'll take it. Wow. Wow. That was about 54, 5,500 RPM. Saw a little puff of smoke coming out. I think our oil drain's a little loose.
It doesn't even think about it.
No, it just doesn't. Woo, man, that's fun.
Like, it don't ask questions.
No, it just doesn't. So we got that exhaust cutout put on right there, and I broke the plug whenever we pulled the engine out. So we just took it off. We're gonna see what kind of boost it can make. It made like 3 pounds max with the cutout completely shut, full exhaust out the back. So I'm hoping 5 to 6. What's your predictions?
Like how many pounds?
Yeah.
I would say 6, yeah. 5 or 6. Well, I don't know what happened last time when we opened it on that other engine.
Neither one of us did.
That was loud.
That was squirrely.
I know, we lost traction.
Yeah, there was 0 traction that entire time. 0.
I felt it swing.
Yeah, it just, nothing at all. No traction.
That's what we like.
5 pounds, if I did the math right, it's over 500 horsepower.
Well, we don't know what it actually feels like because it just lets loose.
Yeah, we don't know like what it should do with traction. Like it would be insane with any kind of traction. This thing at a track,
oh man,
I'm afraid it's gonna break U-joints in this stock rear axle. That was 6.
That pulled hard.
Wow. Wow. There's the power, Brian. We found
it.
And I didn't even pull it all the way to like max RPM because it's so scary.
I know, it's so loud. It's fishtailing the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. Just spinning. Like you can't even put the power down. Wow. Wow.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
I guess because it keeps us going any faster. Yeah, we're leaking a little oil down at the drain. I think we pushed some oil out of this breather cap.
Yeah.
So we need to add some kind of like oil catch can of sorts, and then fix the drain on the turbo. Dude, this thing just pulls. It's
hard.
A freight train, dude. That thing is awesome.
It never gets old.
Never, ever, ever gets old. This thing just spools like that. Now this thing is a handful, but man, have I had a lot of fun getting this engine put in this car. It really can't hook. We're gonna have to do something about those tires, but I'm gonna do all this on a track. Now, the best thing about this thing, if I did estimate it properly, which I could be a bit optimistic, it could be on the low side of 400, it could be on the high side, you know, it could be in the high threes, I don't know. But at the flywheel, if it's making 400 horsepower, and if it's producing 6 pounds of boost like we did see, that means 561 horsepower at the flywheel. And that's 457 horsepower to the wheel, but that's all things considered in a perfect scenario. I want to put that to the test. I would like to put this thing on the dyno in a future video and then take it to an 1/8 mile track, the exact same one that this thing was at, but I want to see, can we beat that 8.9 second 1/8 mile? Surely we can. If we can't, then I just need to do something differently. We got to make sure this thing can hook at the track. We've got to fix a couple other odds and ends and obviously get the hood back on it. But you need to subscribe, turn on the notifications so you do not miss a future video on this car. And also, down in the link in the description below, use the code TURBO at my website at checkout so you can get 10% off site-wide. That runs to the very end of March. Thank you guys so much for watching and all of your support. I hope you enjoyed this video just as much as I did making it, and I will see you in the next one.